Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of the Late Night Lake Show podcast. It is your host, Ricky and Omar. We got a special guest in the building today. We got one of the honchos of 19 Media Group blessing us with his time. Not only is he one of the co-founders of 19 Media Group, which you can find the Late Night Lake Show podcast. Not only is he the co-host of the Baseline NBA podcast, not only is he the host of Dope Interviews, which, you know, he's just interviewing any famous former or current athlete in this world, actor, author, writer, everything. Former Celtics beat writer as well. So this is going to get intense today, ladies and gentlemen. Our new friend of the show, Mr. Warren Shaw, 19 Media Group. Warren, how you feeling today?
Bro, I thank you so much for that, man. When you lay it out, I was like, oh, I guess I'm busy. I mean, but we all busy. All we're trying to make it work too, and balance work-life balance too, and kids and the whole nine. So it's a pleasure for me to be here with you both, brother. I'm really, really excited about this opportunity.
Absolutely, my man. Talking to Omar a little bit. We're going through the LinkedIn profile, and I'm just like, I see at least 4 positions that you are presently employed at or just working in. Before we get into the Lakers-Celtics talk, Warren, give me one tip on how you balance all the jobs and hats that you wear right now.
I think you can't do it unless you have a supportive family, and that's just keeping it a buck. You know what I mean? It's like if I don't talk to my wife and let her know what the schedule is and so forth, so I can say, hey, does my son have a basketball game this week? What time is that at? So I can try about, like, you just have to make sure you're communicating with all those that you love. Otherwise, you'll push them away. And that's keeping it a buck. You know what I mean? Not to get all sentimental and emotional on y'all, but I think previous ladies I was with, I didn't do that. And that's why I'm no longer with them, so to speak. So I think, my wife now, she's holding it down 100%. So all props to her. But yeah, communication is absolutely the key, and trying to make sure your balance is where it needs to be and try to do all the stuff that you're trying to do.
Let's just jump right into it then. We got, like we said, the Los Angeles Lakers are 12-12. The Boston Celtics, at the time, last time I checked, are 12-11. Both teams are right at the bottom of the play-in tournament. It's early in the season, but obviously there was more to be desired for both teams. The Celtics have a new head coach, so they're obviously working in and getting acclimated to things. So just to kick life off, Warren, the Boston Celtics have both Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who from the outside looking in have been the focal point of, Celtics Twitter, Celtics fans on if those two players can win a championship together. Just to start things off, man, just tell me, how are the Celtics looking to you this year today? And do you actually believe that is the roster in a spot? Are the pieces there that you see that could be a championship winning team?
Well, I'll start with the last part you said, right? Championship level and winning team. Nah, that's not who they are. This is a good playoff team. First, second round, depending on matchups. When we did our tiers on the baseline, it was really interesting, Rick, because I sat there. I was an idiot. I was like, well, the East it's jumbled to me. So I had a tier 1 that was kind of like Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Tier 2, which I thought Atlanta and Miami would kind of be. Then tier 3 was almost like the whole rest of the conference. Because I was like, to me, there's no real difference. I can't really see. And Boston was in kind of like that tier 3 for me at that time. I expected Washington to be good, not quite as good as they've played, but kind of to be in there. Charlotte, obviously New York, et cetera, et cetera. I was like, it's really just this conglomerate of like 5 to 6 teams in the Eastern Conference that are like, they're good, but they're not great. And that's where I had Boston in here. So I think what ends up happening with Boston and Celtics Nation, if you will, is that there's just this expectation, of banners, just like how you are in the Lakers, like, hey, if it's championship or bust. But this isn't a roster that's championship or bust, especially with the new coach and Brad Stevens now moving into the executive level seat. He's still learning that job on top of things as well, too. And not to get too far ahead of it, but I think what the Celtics need is more consistency at the point guard position. I don't dislike Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart is amazing. He's through and through, bleeds green, the whole 9. But what we haven't seen with the combination in Tatum and Brown is, have they had a true playmaker at the point guard position? And they've had to do some of that themselves, and with varying degrees of success. I think when they would try to do it, and you see a lot of my turn with them, my turn, your turn rather with them at times as well. And Smart is an unselfish player, but he's not an elite level playmaker. So the team needs that, I think, in order to try to probably get to that next level. And they probably also need what a lot of teams need is like elite level shooting as well too. They have guys who shoot the 3 ball, but not guys that you're like, oh, I don't want to curse, but I mean, when you see them open, you're like, oh my God, no, they don't have any of those guys. I think, knocking down, the corner three or anything like that as well too when you kick it out.
I mean, Omar, you are in the Boston area. You get a feel for the Celtics fans all the time, every day.
Yeah, no, I think one big thing for sure. My wife and her family are huge Celtic fans, so
I didn't know
their
that.
constant complaint. No, they are. So their constant complaint about Marcus Smart. That man drives that family crazy. But I think you make a really good point, Warren, with the point guard. They need a true playmaking player that can put Tatum and Brown in positions to succeed, right? And then pick their spots, right? Because they have so much of that my turn, your turn type thing where the offense gets really stagnant and becomes like an ISO game. And when it gets into like the second round, third round of the playoffs, you need to kind of be able to run actions and get easy baskets or high quality looks. And you're going to run into like teams like Milwaukee and Brooklyn, who are like the top teams at ISO ball or, getting the best quality shots. So I think the playmaking point guard is probably the biggest need, at least from my perspective, when I talk to my in-laws and my friends and all that. And when I see some of the games, as well as I think they had a vision of bringing Kemba Walker. That didn't pan out, obviously. That kind of, I think, put and then obviously Kyrie leaving. I think that kind of put a hurdle on the road of developing the Tatum and Brown duo. They also brought in Dennis Schroeder, our friend from last year.
Oh yeah,
and he's been, I think, up and down. I think he's been pretty good actually for the value that he's been bringing in terms of his contract. He's been pretty good. But I think for me,
Warren, how is our old friend Dennis Schroeder skateboard kick push over there doing? How is he doing in his new role?
Not the skateboard, bro. Dennis he's one of those players for sure that I think you definitely know how you feel about him. Right. I think my colleague on the baseline, it doesn't matter what he's going to do. My colleague, Cali's like, it doesn't matter. He's terrible. We don't like Dennis, so forth and so forth. And for a long time, even back from his Atlanta days, he was kind of a Celtics nemesis. So it was just like, it's kind of hard to get over that. Now he's on your team. You have to kind of root for him. And he was really being a real a-hole to a lot of Celtics, in the playoffs and back in those days. But he, I think as Omar said, he's been pretty consistent not consistent, but pretty good, especially for the value. He's been averaging over 20, I think the last 4 or 5 games here too, as Brown has been in and out of the lineup. And I think that's been important to be able to have that. I tweeted the other day, I don't think anybody gets his shot blocked as much as he does. He's always getting his thing tossed. I don't know what the situation is there, but outside of that, he's consistently going. And while he shoots that flat-footed jumper, that set shot three, it has a decent level of consistency. And the one thing we know, he does not lack confidence. So I think if you have those guys out there who are not afraid to take shots, that's important. And, he won a game for us the other night too. I think Tatum deferred to him after Tatum, was complaining or saw an article about him being selfish and so forth and so forth. And then Schroeder was one who took that, kind of game clinching shot for us at that time. So he's been pretty good. And especially for the value, I know he's going to want to get his money, coming up after this season, and we'll see. We're the ones to pay him. I don't think that will be the case. But he's more or less been a good soldier, I think, since he's been in Team Green.
Well, good for Dennis. Glad that he's starting to get a little bit acclimated to reality of things. You can't be too brash with historical franchises like you do. You go from one, you get a little comfortable, right? You get 2 strikes on you, one from the Lakers, one from the Celtics. I'm sorry, there are a lot of dumb teams in this league, but there's not a lot of dumb teams that just go pay you like that, man. So I think him kind of falling in line is a little bit of your back's against the wall, my brother. There is Sacramento waiting to give you a little bit of money if you want it, but that's Siberia, and who wants to be in Siberia, right? So you brought up an interesting comment about Jason Tatum, and there being reports, articles, stories, right, about him possibly just being a little tunnel vision. It sounds like the man likes to get his buckets of, it's been known he's a disciple from the school of Kobe, right? So shooting has never been something he's shied away from. But I guess talk to me just from your POV. Obviously, Celtics fans or just any fans can be a little bit more extreme about stuff. Do you think Jason Tatum is progressing as you would expect for him to be on the path to being the 1A superstar on a championship winning team?
Man, that is such a layered question, I think, for me. because I really respect what Tatum has brought to the game, how he tries to improve every day. When I read that article, though, I was like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like that old school thing, things that make you go, I was like,
Right.
I don't know if he's selfish, but I think, yeah, he might still be very young and trying to establish his dominance, especially when you think about the praise that has been heaped upon him as the next coming, as the next person. KD saying he's going to be an MVP one day and all of those things. Like, he's been in the league how many years now? And I feel like we've been hearing that for every single year since his rookie season. So when does it actually happen? And I don't know if in some ways that pressure is kind of on him, where he feels like he needs to accelerate that process for him to be that guy. I don't know that is or isn't going to be that guy. And I know there's a lot of pressure with that statement, but I don't necessarily know. I think with the emergence of Jaylen Brown as well, too, I think they can coexist and really be co-stars to each other. But I know everybody in NBA Twitter world wants Tatum to be the elite level guy. He's supposed to be the next KD, next Kobe, whatever it is. And I don't know if he's there. I don't know that he's going to get there, but I don't want to also say that if he doesn't, it's a failure. Because if you still have a 25 point per game guy, you know, that's still an elite level talent on your roster. Just because he's not a generational talent, do you take something away from him as a result of that? And a lot of that is just, you know, where you picked. And then especially because he had that breakout rookie season, it's like, oh, he's a lot better than we thought he was going to be. And because you know how Duke players, sometimes they don't translate. So there's, like I said, that's why it's very, very layered for me. I'm not quite as high as some, and I'm definitely not quite as low, I think, as others are too, in terms of where there's a lot of hate for Tatum out there as well.
Omar, when you walk around, do you see a lot of Tatum jerseys?
Is
the love in the city of Boston still strong for our man?
Yeah,
you know, obviously the joke, the running joke is being Jason Tatum, future Laker.
The Boston fans definitely they show a lot of love to Tatum, and I see Tatum jerseys and Brown jerseys predominantly all throughout the city. I think mostly, you know, Boston fans and my friends, they love what Tatum brings. I think sometimes he can get too jumper happy, and they would like to see him get to the hole or like, you know, create contact. Or sometimes it seems like from their perception or when I'm watching, sometimes he shies away from some contact, whereas Brown will attack the basket. And I think it's just like varying degrees of the type of like mentality they both bring. And I think both can coexist, and you can definitely create a system where you benefit from that, and there are two games, but they're definitely showing the love. But I could definitely, you know, start the campaign, Ricky, from Late Night Lake Show to bring Tatum over.
Settle down. Settle down. Settle down.
I'm just saying, I just want to know, if there's any problems in paradise over there, just, give us a ring whenever you're ready, Jason. We'll be open up. But no,
wow.
all jokes aside, there has been one big name floating around, Celtic land of, the next superstar that could come join the team. I don't know what the trade scenario, I don't know what it would look like as far as packages. I'm assuming Brown would be going and this player would be coming in, but wanted to get your opinion about Mr. One Bradley Beal. You said it earlier. Washington's having a good season. This whole, it's any moment now before Bradley Beal's traded. It's kind of on the back burner, but, two St. Louis boys between him and Jason Tatum. Are you buying or selling that Bradley Beal, if he were to ask for a trade, the Celtics wouldn't be at the top of that list?
I'm buying it in terms of I think if Beal wanted to leave Washington and join Boston, then yeah, I think that would be a situation. But there was a rumor, joke, whatever you want to call it, early in the year, especially with how Washington started out, that Beal reached out to Tatum's like, hey, bro, my team's better than yours right now. What do you think about coming over here? And obviously that's not even realistic in terms of where Tatum's contract is and so forth. Well, there's no chance that's happened. But in terms of that need for Beal to rush out of Washington, I don't know that's prevalent, as they really reconstructed their roster with your former Lakers and the addition of Spencer Dinwiddie. So, our guy, forgetting his name now, Unseld Jr., he's doing an amazing job coaching over there and gotten this team to buy in defensively, which If you would have told me that was the situation going into the year, I would have laughed at you and like, I'm logging out right now because you don't know what you're talking about. That the Wizards are going to play defense.
Right.
Sure, fam.
Right.
And they found a way to get that done. So I don't know how serious or if we'll be able to revisit that right now. If Washington starts to slide back, I think all that is going to come at the end of the year. Nothing mid-season right now, especially with how well the Wizards have played and just especially where Tatum's contract is right now. The Brown stuff is really interesting. Because he's linked to Simmons, they're linked to Dame, I think, at one point as well, and trying to make some stuff happen. He is the chip, and I guess because Tatum is seen as the piece that they need to keep, right. Brown would be the one to go. But I think he's still very young. Beal is like I think 2 or 3 years older than Brown as well. Too. It's like I don't know what you do there.
No, that's facts. We'll get into the 2021-2022 Los Angeles Lakers right after the break. It's time to take the gloves off. All the fun, cute stuff. We're going to push that off to the side. Thank you for the Celtics update. But now it's really time to get the opinion of Mr. Warren Shaw of our Los Angeles Lakers. So we're going to get that when we come back. Late Night Lake Show. Stick around.
Hey, my man, can I ask you a question? Why are you taking a chance investing in stocks when you can double your money instantly with MyBookie? Bro, you can't even predict when a hunch will pay off, but use our promo code 19MG at MyBookie, and I guarantee you'll double your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. The best part, MyBookie accepts any form of credit card to well-known cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, so you can bet and withdraw with whatever crypto you into these days. Hey, this Saturday, the UFC is closing out 2021 with a bang, with 2 world title fights going down at UFC 269. Headlined by the lightweight championship fight between Charles Oliveira and Dustin Poirier, this fight amounts to a coin flip, but both men have the finish rates of over 75%, so you know this ain't going to the scorecards. Don't miss out. Double your first deposit up to $1,000 by using promo code 19MG. Head to MyBookie today, place your bets, and watch the sparks fly with UFC 269. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
So Warren, I just got to know, man, like obviously Lakers podcast, Laker propaganda network, we kind of built the whole brand around it, right? Do you hate the Lakers as a Celtics fan? Just, honestly, like, is this deep rooted, or are you not as crazy about the rivalry?
Well, I'm crazy about the rivalry. I'm just not predisposed to, I think, taking it to deeper levels. I'm a pretty even keel individual. I do recognize that there is Lakers exceptionalism. I think whenever I heard that term, however many years ago, I was like, that is just true. You know what I mean? It's like they have a way and ability to do things that other franchises don't. And then there's the expectation, I think, from the fan base that comes alongside with that as well, too. So, but just like anything else in life, there's balance. You have reasonable people and some unreasonable folks as well, too. And I think right now on the timeline, it's been wild for your Lakers this season. I've seen all gamuts. I'm just like, wow, that's something. You know what I mean? And obviously coming from another fan base that's pretty let's say enthusiastic, with the Celtics, I'm used to seeing all of that. But I think the expectations for the Lakers are a lot different this year specifically. But when it comes to my overall rivalry and hatred, it's not hatred. I'd say it's a strong disdain for the level of success that they've been able to match, with my Boston Celtics. So it's a friendly rivalry as well. It should be.
I like that. That. Perfect way to put it.
Respectful.
It's respectful.
Yeah.
I do too. I've had to back off, like, admittedly, of some of my Celtic slander as I've gotten older in these years. Mostly because I've started to grow relationships with people who are Celtics fans. I was like, there's no point of me just saying outlandish stuff about the entire fan base when it's just not true. I can't text everybody and say I'm not talking about you specifically, type of thing. So in any event, right? We don't want to mix words here. Obviously, it's still a healthy rivalry as it's ever been. But
for sure.
I mean, wanted to get your POV, Warren. What is the state of the Los Angeles Lakers? You help us. What? How should I be feeling? How should Omar be feeling about this?
That's another layered question, Ricky.
Oh, is it ever? Again, not to backtrack some, but again, as a Celtics fan, the chaos is great. I can't help but love that. It's just like, it's not all, puppies and rainbows and flowers in Lakerland. It's like, there's some real dark things going on, but they're still like, around 500 team. And there's a lot of teams out there that would love to be 500, just not your beloved purple and gold. There's still time for things to turn around. I think coming into the offseason, I was like, listen, I will no longer just kind of rubber stamp the Lakers and quote, like there's a phrase like just kind of never doubt LeBron. And I wouldn't say I'm going there, but Father Time is like tapping my dude on the shoulder, like, hey, yeah, I mean, we're starting to see some of those things. And I said, outside of them getting Dame this summer, nothing was really going to impress me. So I was like, Russ, I like Russ. I'm not one of those people who dislike Russ and think he has no value at all. But I think, as my guy Jabari, as you all know, a well-known Laker fan on the baseline as well too, Russ giveth and he taketh away, and that's always been the nature of his game. So I think when you're bringing in somebody like that into your roster, you have to understand that. And the one thing I'll say for your fan base specifically is you have to recognize you're still not fully healthy. And, a lot of guys have not played even 1 minute for you at all this year. And all those things take time to build, especially when you have an older roster. So I know LeBron tweeted Wash King and the whole nine, but cool, like get everybody in place, get healthy, build your rotations, and kind of see where you're at from there. But because you're not out here like the Warriors, 18-3, 18-4, whatever the hell they are now, like, don't be mad at that, stay the course. But I read something today, and I was going to even ask y'all about it. I don't know how true it is. It was one of those, those kind of like those sites that just kind of aggregate information. Like, oh, the Lakers would entertain a Russell trade at the trade deadline. And I was like, well, where the hell did this come from? So is there any truth to that in that aspect where, you try to get rid of Russ already after, 20, 22 games?
Omar, I don't want to speak for us, but I would say yes, there is a scenario where the Lakers would flip Russell Westbrook to improve the roster. I think just in private conversations that we've had, I just don't see that avenue opening up. Like, yes, Russ has been traded 3 times in 3 years, 3 times in 4 years, right? And people are like, oh, you can't trade that contract. You can't trade John Wall's contract, this, and then the other. And it ends up happening. I just don't. I think the Russ trade was like the last big swing for this season, right? And we did it at the very beginning of the season. Like, Russ was the move. There's no like, what's the year where LeBron traded half his roster, and then they ended up going to winning the finals. 2018. Right? That was the 2018. Okay, that was the 2018 Cavs. Yeah, I asked Kwame, another co-host of ours who's been following LeBron his whole career. I ask him that often, like, do you see this like same thing where like the roster just gets overhauled and it all comes back to, I don't see anyone taking Russ, man. Like, and the Lakers substantially become the number 1 team in the NBA over Milwaukee, over the Warriors. I don't know, Omar, how you feel about it?
Yeah, and I think the way like Jeannie and the Lakers kind of pride themselves, it's like a family operated business. I just don't see them flipping Russ, the homecoming player, coming to his hometown, play for his like favorite team, flipping him before the deadline. I think they want to see, at least this season go through. And then in the offseason, I think he just has that 1 year opt-in. So at that point, it's just a salary that you're taking on from the other team. I think the one player that we may get into trading is THT. I think that's one player that's kind of, been low in terms of our expectations. And I think that's our one tradable piece that we have right now. You can match that with him and Kendrick Nunn, who's hasn't played a minute, to your point, Warren. He hasn't played a minute for our roster yet, and he is young and healthy when he can. And then maybe get a piece back and then try to get a rotation that way when we do get that piece, and then see how the season goes. But you're right, it's still super early on. I think the biggest thing for us and for Laker Nation right now is the coach. I think that's been the biggest thing that we're stuck between a hard rock and a hard place, essentially, with Frank Vogel.
Yeah. And I didn't want this to be a Frank Vogel episode. Now I got
it always comes to it.
But it always comes back around. Warren, just, Frank Vogel, you knew him. You saw him a lot closer when he was, with Indiana and then down there with Orlando, right? In the matchups with your Celtics. But I don't know, man. Where is Frank Vogel land with you as a coach from an outsider's perspective?
Well, listen, I don't know if I can subscribe to get him out of here. I think it's just like that's, and no offense to either one of you, I think it's just low hanging fruit, and I don't watch close enough to understand what the rotation discrepancies are and some of the decision making that I've seen or heard are some of the issues here. I still like harken the things back. If he hasn't had the full roster to deal with and you had so much roster overhaul, well, then how can he be given a fair shake, in 20 plus games that we've had? I think a lot of it too comes down to, and this may rub some of you the wrong way or some of your fan base the wrong way, but is AD really that guy? And I know he's bounced back some, but we also understand now, and we talked with Jabari about it on the baseline as well too, that, hey, he may not be the franchise guy. He's a very good elite level, still all NBA level talent, but is he the guy to lead your franchise into the next phase and win multiple championships, especially with LeBron ailing? And I think all those factors coupled in with rust, the injuries, et cetera, I don't know how Vogel can get or could have gotten a fair shake given all the things that they've had to deal with at the start of the season. Roster turnover and building new levels of chemistry for elite level championship teams is not something you can do overnight at the snap of your fingers, and it can be done in 20 games with everything that's happened. And that's just my personal opinion. You guys are a lot closer to it, but I can't get there on the fire Vogel situation just yet until I see more and maybe see some of the guys, all the people that they wanted to have in, actually be here and play.
People don't talk about that enough in Lakers circles, right? This is 4 years in a row, 3 years in a row, pretty much since LeBron has joined the team. And again, you bring home a championship, that's all that matters at the end of the day. But when we start looking at longevity and long-term success, we all knew coming into this that LeBron was joining the Lakers at the third phase in his career, right? I think it's phase 3 of 3, unless he, goes back to Cleveland for some sentimental value, right?
Yeah.
The issue, though, is when you keep flipping the roster over every year, adding in a new star, taking out really good role players in Caruso and, KCP, to some extent, but just that consistency, that chemistry, fans don't translate that to the next season. They say, hey, look at these names. This should work. Make it work. It don't work. It's your fault, Frank. It's your fault. LeBron, it's your fault. AD. And to your point of it being low-hanging fruit, that's absolutely right? Like, where does the blame fall first on an underachieving basketball team? Fans will point to Frankie Smoke's just obnoxious rotations and decision-making. And honestly, one of the biggest things has been this whole, why is he starting two bigs all the time? I had a rant earlier this week. I'm now focusing all my attention on Anthony Davis, bro.
Yeah, and not to cut you off, but I think I was listening to your last show, and I was like, yeah, I think that was some really good points. What is it that is it AD's mentality? Where like I just don't want to be the 5. And I don't remember if it was you, Ricky, or I can't remember who said it. And they were just like, when they brought in DeAndre Jordan, like, thank you, thank you, Rob, or whatever, like stuff like that is, like that's wild. So I think what nobody ever wants to, I think, really look at the problem and say, okay, it's all of these things. It has to be a singular, it's you or it's this or it's that. And again, as I say all the time, multiple things can be true. And I think you just try to figure out, what you can fix and what you can, move forward with and what you may ultimately have to do without. But to say it's any one thing, I think with the Lakers right now would be a little bit disingenuous to the entirety of the process and the problem.
We're just trying to simplify it down as fans, though. There's just so much stuff going wrong. It's just so hard to straighten it all out. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise, Omar, that the Lakers don't play till Tuesday or Monday? They play tomorrow?
Tuesday.
Okay, we get 3 full days to just decompress for the last week and a half, 2 months, the whole season of BS.
The whole season, yeah.
It's definitely good to kind of just, get a little bit of glass of cold water, bring in someone else to just say, hey guys, like, maybe it's not just pull the fire alarm on one thing and expect that everything is going to magically fix itself. And obviously that's just not how sports or life works. It's a lot of buying in. And if you're missing pieces to the puzzle, it don't matter how, finished it is. It's still going to look not complete. So points well said, Warren. You covered the Celtics as a beat writer back in the day for CelticsWire.com. Just wanted to ask you, bro, like what that's the Bean era. That's Paul Pierce. That's KG. Like, dog, like just talk me through what were some of your favorite memories while covering that Celtics team in regard to the Lakers-Celtics really storied matchups.
Yeah, I think obviously the two major final matchups are stuff that really stick out to me. Even Rondo kind of at his heyday. So it's still interesting to see Rondo as a Laker, twice now, I guess. And it's just like, man, it's wild. It's just, I don't know. It's bizarre to me. But I think one of the most heartbreaking things, because I also worked, I'm Jamaican, my parents are, and so I just remember that, hey, I have 5 jobs. Like I've always had multiple jobs. I worked at CBS at one point, and I think it was the last finals matchup. I always get the year. Was that 2010? 2010, so yeah. So I'm there. I was assigned to that game, and I'm having to do the stat inputs for this whatever it was, game 7 or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm so frustrated because I'm a big Celtics fan, and we just can't get over the hump, and I 100% think we're a better team. Kobe's shooting like ish. And somehow Ron Artest is the guy that beats us. I'm like, get out of here, bro. Like, what are you doing? It's just what I've had.
You're entering the stats.
Yes, I literally like, look at this bullshit. I was tight, bro. I was tight. So, and again, I'm at work, so I have to, be somewhat professional, but everybody is. And it was still, there was levity in the environment as well. But that's one of those things I'll never forget, man. Just losing that series when I 100% thought we were better, and and getting being just not shooting well and still losing that game. I was like, God, how much worse can it be? The only thing that I think pissed me off more than that, and this has nothing to do with the Celtics, with the Lakers, so to speak, but it was another series versus the Heat. And again, I live in the Miami area. And when Chris Bosh all of a sudden became a magical 3-point shooter, I was like, you've never shot threes in your life. And then all of a sudden here in the conference finals, now you're knocking down 4. Get the F out of here, man. So stuff like that. When it happens to your team, you get so frustrated when people do stuff that they've never done before, or somebody unexpected starts to contribute and then contributes to your loss and not getting the championship, man. So wild times, man. Wild times. But 2008 was cool. 2010, not so much.
Yeah, I bet it was. But we'll just bypass 20.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, I will say, man, the number one thing that I will never forget about that era of the Lakers-Celtics rivalry was that orange damn Gatorade that they poured on Doc Rivers with time still on the clock. I'm like, this ain't a football game, and you got Kobe sitting on the bench, just got to wait through them cleaning up a court while everybody's celebrating. That will be ingrained. My children's children will know about that moment. We don't drink orange Gatorade because of it, and it hurts me.
Well, maybe it's a little serendipitous. I just happen to have orange Gatorade.
I didn't know. That is
about as poetic as it can get, man. I love it. You telling that story, which we're definitely about to clip out and put on the show, just Absolutely. About the Lakers Celtics game 7. That was also because, correct me if I'm wrong, Perk tore his ACL the game before, and Sheed was the starting center that game. And Sheed still had a good game. I'm like, out of all the people, it was the one Detroit Piston that was going to potentially save the day for y'all, which, again, I have PTSD moments from that series too. But, did you have a chance to interview any of those players either in, during that era or down the road from it? Did you talk to any of those Celtics guys?
Unfortunately, no, ironically, and definitely not about that. I would tell this story, but it would come off cross, maybe kind of in poor taste. But let's just say I had interaction with Rondo while he was a Celtic that wasn't amazing. I was covering a game in Orlando, ironically, when the Celtics came to town there, and Yeah, it went a little left. So and I always give props to actually retired now as well too. I'm forgetting his name, but a great Boston Globe writer as well. So he had kind of like. He's like, yo, relax. He's a little prickly right now. And I was just like, yo, what's happening? So I won't get into the details of that. But a little Rondo situation wasn't exciting for me. So it kind of changed my perspective a little bit. But such is life, bro.
You're crying. Then he joins the Lakers twice more. And then you're like, well, these are signs that God just puts in front of you that you're like, you know what? I'm done with it. Done with it.
And wins the ring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Omar. We don't got to go there. So.
Hey, real quick, Warren, wanted to just get your opinion about it. It came in, the news came and went, and I don't know if this is an FBI planted story or not, but it seems like Enes Freedom, now name, it has had LeBron James as the target of his questioning of morals and just Nike and child labor laws and all types of, stuff that are points, but interesting timing and interesting subject matter. So just your thoughts, just kind of the reaction to, Enes's, pretty consistent, just keeping LeBron his public enemy number one.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I think that's where, I will never let my fandom, if you will, get in the way of what I believe is common sense or people, I don't know, caping, if you will, for whatever crusade that they're on. And I understand maybe in essence what he's trying to do in terms of trying to shine light on certain issues and political situations and all that. I think there's a different way to do that, and trying to attack LeBron, especially publicly. And listen, you're all NBA players. Of like, that's a conversation you will need to have, and you can holler at Bron and figure it out. And not to say that I don't know if Bron give him the time of day or he wouldn't, but I think trying to go publicly on it is probably the wrong way to go. But I'm not Enes Kanter, and I don't have the same even political equity or maybe investment maybe that he does in some of these issues. And not say that they're not issues, just I don't know enough about all the things that he's even talking about to kind of say he should be going after LeBron in this way at all as well too. So it just wouldn't be my mode of operation, if you will, in that aspect. And hopefully they find some level of resolution, but I don't think Bron's going to give him the time of day on it anyway, and he's too big to even care.
Right. What's your take on it, man? I think random would be a good way to summarize this subject.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I 100% agree with everything you said, Warren. I mean, whatever he's standing up for it has its own merit, right? But the way or the process by which he's going by it is something that's very eye-opening, right? It just doesn't make sense. It's illogical. It just seems like you are pulling on LeBron because he's, probably the most searched player in the NBA right now, and it's just an easy way to kind of get yourself out there. And now he's showing himself on Fox News and all these different media outlets, and it just doesn't add up to me. It just doesn't seem genuine. I just wish that because the issues that he is trying to bring awareness to, they deserve the attention that it deserves. It just doesn't make sense the way he's doing it.
All great points said. We're going to take one quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to do a little rapid fire with Warren. We're going to talk a little bit general NBA topics, get his predictions for MVP, and see who he's thinking that is going to end up meeting in the finals. Late Night Lake Show. Don't move. Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Ricky, co-founder of Late Night Lake Show. Just stopping by to let y'all know about a new sponsor that you guys are going to absolutely love. For the first time, the Late Night Lake Show is going to be powered by Symbol. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, what is Symbol, you ask? Well, I'm about to tell you. Hang on. Symbol is the stock market for sports that allows you to profit off your sports knowledge. On Symbol, you can trade sports teams like stocks, and every time your team wins, you earn cash. You like that? Okay, get a pen and pad out, get your phone notes up, get your typing. It's about to get good. Use your sports knowledge on Symbol to buy low, sell high, and earn cash payouts when your team wins. Join 7,000 early adopters who have started to invest in their favorite teams already. Visit www.simbull.com/LNLS. That's short for Late Night Lake Show. To create a free account, and when you deposit, make sure to use that promo code LNLS to get free $10 bonus. Okay, coming back. Yeah, I think it's just a little weird that, changing your name to Freedom and then ending up on Tucker Carlson's show and you talk about you're not political. But, that's life. It is what it is. Not my rodeo. I'm just a podcast host, but, it is what it is. Warren, thank you so much, Brody, for joining us this week, man. We got a couple of rapid fire across the NBA topics. As everybody can see, this video, our show will be on our YouTube telecast. So you see Warren right there with the Baseline NBA podcast, Shaw Sports, all the good stuff. Let's talk a little NBA real quick, man. Give me your predictions for the rest of the season as far as is Steph Curry and Kevin Durant really just in a 1-2 race for MVP this year?
I think just by name recognition and what people like to vote for, it's them. I think we're starting to hear hey, DeMar DeRozan should get consideration, and I'm not disputing that. It's like he has no real chance of winning the MVP. So he's just not a big enough name, but he deserves the consideration. So it's like when IT back in the day on the Celtics, hey, put him in the top 5 and that's a great season for you. So I think Jokic is still doing wonderful things, but Denver is struggling and they're just so hurt. So it's impossible for him to kind of get into that sphere right now. So I think it is kind of a one or two man horse race, if you will. Giannis can maybe enter this as well too if Milwaukee starts to pick things up. And I don't want to just be cliche and just name out big names, but I think that's what the MVP's kind of become. Like, it's like, hey, unless you have, Jokic last year only because they're like, all right, well, we didn't know what else to do, but he deserved it. He really did. But I think with KD and Curry playing the way they are, especially with how great the Warriors have been, I think, the fans, or sorry, not the fans, but the voters are going to go in those two guys' directions for sure.
Yeah, and there's no reason why they shouldn't, right? Yeah. It's not like they're just getting propped up there for no merit at all. So, okay, then I don't have this written down, but I just got to know, if you had to take one of Steph Curry or Kevin Durant and put them on the Boston Celtics today, which one are you taking?
Well, we flirted with KD, how to meet Brady and all kind of stuff like that as well too. So I think let's just go ahead and and make that happen. And I think from the defensive standpoint, when he does decide to lock in that side, it just takes us to another level. Although Curry's amazing, I don't think you can go wrong either way. I'm just gonna take the 7-foot versatile monster and add him to Tatum and Brown if possible, and say, hey, I'll take my chances with that as well too. So that's where I'd go.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah,
I know basketball height is still an advantage, with Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time, right? But I know our guest next week, Nat of the All Nat podcast, she's going to get on me about this, but we'll make sure to bring up the same question to her and get her opinion about it. But
you already know what it's going to be. Nat's
we know. I give people they platform to speak their mind, and we'll post it for them. So okay. Who's meeting in the finals then? Is it going to be a Steph KD finals? That'd be something. Now, we are not holding out, throwing away the opportunity of our Los Angeles Lakers making a run, figuring this shit out, and coming on top and representing the Western Conference. But do you think that the Lakers have a chance to be in that dance, or do you see another matchup coming out of the East and West?
Bro, the season hasn't gone. In some ways, it's gone exactly how I thought it was. In other ways, it's just like, all right, I didn't think Golden State would be this level of potent. And I know they still have Clay coming back and things of that nature as well too. And I'll be very honest, I don't pull punches. I had the Warriors as a play-in type team, just because I was like, I don't know how they're going to respond, and they still have some roster turnover, and so I think it's a lot to expect. Curry to continue to do what Curry does, and Draymond to contribute, and so forth and so forth. But they've gotten great defense. Wiggins has found a perfect role for him to play, and it's working out. They still have Wiseman and Clay to come back. They have reserves coming, so it's like, damn, how do you not now pick them as we have this conversation here in the beginning of December? I will I will not count the Lakers out, because I still think they're going to figure some stuff out. But right now, I don't want to say it's Golden State's or Phoenix's conference to lose in the West. But I think those are the two best teams right there. And then the Lakers are going to knock on the door eventually. I don't know if anybody else can get into that race. And on the East, I don't know. I think Brooklyn needs to resolve the Kyrie thing one way or the other. Otherwise, it's taboo in some ways to say, but I would kind of defer back to Milwaukee. If Brooklyn does not get Kyrie situated somehow, I'm just going to go with what I know. You know what I mean? In terms of the Bucks being able to kind of get things done. And they've been just kind of coasting themselves and still are near the top of the East. And, you know, I don't think we've seen their best basketball, and now Brooke has a back thing as well. But I don't know. I'm going to trust the Bucks here. And he actually had surgery. So it's not as rough as I think, you know, the Michael Porter situation, obviously. But, you know, Brooke is that's why they signed Boogie and all that stuff like that as well now too. So, you know, Milwaukee is they're hurting a little bit, but I think they're going to bounce back, especially if Giannis can stay healthy. So I'm going to go Bucks Warriors.
So surprisingly, the Bucks have been 9-1 in the last 10 games, so they've definitely picked it up.
They coming, man. Ever since I showed up there and watched Giannis just smack dab right in the middle, Anthony Davis for an entire game. It's been scary hours up there in Milwaukee.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Portis is balling, and, you know, they're getting contributions from Connaughton and Grayson Allen. It's just like, again, Bud has turned the corner, I think, as a coach and being able to tap into what they need to do. And I don't think maybe a lot, and even I'm one of those people who's critical as well too, but I got to get props where props are due, man. I think Milwaukee's definitely on the rise again.
He definitely had to get over that hump, and he did that last season.
Oh, I didn't hear the team that's in Warren's backyard. And I know Fort Lauderdale, you know, about an hour from Miami. But what happened to that all-star team down there, man? Kyle Lowry, who is actually shooting worse from three than Russell Westbrook. What's going on with the Heat? I haven't been too closely connected, but Jimmy and them boys should have been sitting right there at the top as well, right?
Yeah, and they were for a while. They were coming out like defensive stalwarts. They were doing everything without Lowry even playing well. But now they've been hit by the injury bug. Bam's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So, you know, that's a huge hit for them as well, too. Morris is still dealing with the effects of the Jokic shakeup from, you know, a couple of weeks ago.
That's big. I didn't even realize that till they reported, like, yeah, this will be his 12th game he's missed. I'm like,
that's insane. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's real trippy, bro. Like, and, you know, Hero has slowed down a little bit, but I still think is poised to. The biggest problem with Miami is Duncan Robinson has just forgotten how to shoot. He got his money, got the bag, and is like, oh, cool. And he
do now. That's what he does. He just plays basketball in his free time.
And it's wild because he's a really good dude. You know, he's not the type where he's not trying, or he's, you know what I mean? We've seen players out there who get the bag and like they stop giving a shit. And that's not Duncan Robinson. It's just he's really, really struggling, and teams are focusing on him. They're like, yo, F that. We're gonna guard you. We're not gonna let you shoot 7 threes and beat us from deep like that too. But this Miami team is, you know, I hate the word, how much they use it, but the culture, blah, blah, blah. They definitely believe in it. And I think defensively they will be a tough out once they get everybody back. So they're still 4 games above 500 as we record here today. And I think once they get Butler back, and if they can survive this Bam thing, and hopefully it's on their 4-week and not the 6-week side, then, you know, they'll be fine come the end of the regular season. But there's still a lot of pride and hope in what they're able to do.
So I think Bam has the same injury that THT had. So THT was out about like 5 weeks. So I think more or less probably 4 to 5 weeks he'll come back.
I just can't stop asking one question. He's just so informative.
He's so
all right, last one, then I'll get you up out of here, man. Talk to me about my technically hometown team, the Chicago Bulls. They talked about, like you said, DeMar DeRozan. He's going to be top 4, top 5 as long as he keeps this semi, you know, consistent, and the Bulls stay a top 4 seed in the East. They're a fun team. Obviously, Chicago's a big market. They're going to get a lot more attention as they continue to hover at the top of the conference. Are you seeing a serious Bulls team, or do you think this is going to be one of those we're going to get up out of there in after the first or second round?
No, I want no part of the Bulls. I think that's a really good basketball team. And Donovan is also a coach that's a little bit underrated. What DeRozan is doing now, and whatever year he's in, you know, was it year 13 or something like that? He's just leading the NBA in fourth quarter scoring and all that. Oh, and Zach LaVine is 3rd in fourth quarter scoring, you know, as we record. Only Tatum is the difference right now, right, in between those two guys. The fact that they lost Patrick Williams to begin the year and are still being able to do stuff there. Vucevic has accepted a role that's, you know, not what he's used to. He's not even the 1 option, not the 2 option. He's the 3rd option. He can just kind of get in where he fits in, and he's not complaining about it because they're winning basketball. They just got Kobe White back now to give them another punch off the bench. Another former Laker making a huge impact for them with Caruso, or 2 former Lakers with Lonzo and Caruso there as well. You know, so they're able to stop the ball at the point of attack. Caruso was stealing like really like I don't know. He's like I'm like 3 steals a
he's
game.
He's top in the league with 50 steals. It's ridiculous.
It's stupid. And again, and he's putting in highlight plays. So I understand why he was named Caruso out there in LA. I get all of it now. This Bulls team is for real. They defend situationally, excuse me. And I don't think they're elite defensively, but I think they defend situationally, and they have a really high and potent offense. And especially when you have two guys like DeRozan and Levine who are ready to close and not afraid to take those shots. And even Kobe White, I always say you need kind of an a-hole on your team. And Kobe White is kind of that guy to me, where it's like that kind of irrational confidence guy, and he's a guy too who will knock down a shot where you kind of least expect it. So this Bulls team is stacked, bro, and I think they're for real. They're going to be there. They have something.
They got your old Celtics guy too, Javonte Green, who's been pretty like high motor, high energy, just perfectly fits that team. So,
Omar, great point. Just as a guy, he could barely crack the rotation in some other places, and especially even in Boston, and he plays a pivotal role for them. Yeah, they got a rookie. I can never pronounce his name, so I didn't want to even try. But the young rookie,
Ayo, right?
Yeah,
Ayo, whatever his last name.
U of I, he's a local boy.
Yeah, he balling.
Went to U of I, drafted by the Bulls. It's like, damn, okay.
Yeah. So I don't want to, this is a Lakers podcast. I'm a Celtics guy, but a lot of love for the Bulls here for sure.
Yeah. Shout out all of our locals Bulls fans that tap into the podcast. There you guys go. See, it's not all slander. We'll see you guys in about 2 weeks. Me and my 1,000 closest friends will be in the United Center. Bro, I don't know if you noticed this before, and I'm sure you haven't, but there's just been this growing thing between Lakers and Bulls fans. I think obviously this Lonzo, Caruso, and DeRozan and Levine being from California, right? It's all kind of Anthony Davis and THT and Kendrick Nunn all being from Chicago. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's a thing. I know that the matchup, the Bulls-Lakers on December 16th, I believe it is, it's going to be crazy. And, we'll look forward to seeing. I just need the Lakers to have some momentum going into that game, man. If they are doing this dumb shit in 2 weeks from now, and the fact that I had to buy an 11-game ticket package just to make sense of affording one game, which was Lakers-Bulls, I'm going to be livid. I'm going to be upset. We're going to figure some things out. And if LeBron hurt, we canceling the game. We postponing it. So, sorry. Just had to vent. Let me get you.
I ain't mad at it, bro. Well, I thank you, man, for having me. This was amazing. You guys are knowledgeable Lakers fans. You're reasonable Lakers fans. So, feel free to invite me, and definitely got to have you on the baseline at some point as well, too.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, we really enjoyed having you on. Officially now, friend of the show, Warren Shaw of the Baseline 19 Media Group. Brody, before we get you out of here, just let the good folks know where they can find you.
I appreciate it, my guy. Yeah, definitely hit me up at Shaw Sports NBA. You can hit up the show's Twitter handle too at NBA Baseline. Make sure you're following Jabari. Make sure you're following Kali. Those are great, amazing co-hosts on that as well too. And if you like a little stuff outside of the sports realm, or maybe even some sports conversation that you wouldn't expect, hit me up at Dope Interviews at Dope_interviews, on Twitter. But thanks for the platform, fellas. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
Everybody enjoy your football Sunday. Lakers, by the time you guys will listen to this, will be playing on Tuesday. So tomorrow, I don't know. It's hard doing times 48 hours in advance and trying to predict like I'm talking like that. But anyways, enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks. We're going to get you out of here. For Omar and Ricky and our guest, Warren Shaw, we out.
Peace.